Hello and welcome back to the Patient First podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bryan Laskin, where, of course, we're looking to increase the influence of today's engaged dentists. And today, I was inspired to do this podcast by listening to another podcast. Really, I heard a quote that I think is completely appropriate for the state of dentistry today. And I think I'm going to offend quite a few people. And frankly, I want you to open your mind, because if you're offended by this quote, likely you need to hear it, I think, especially right now in dentistry. I don't want to say at this moment in time, but I think we have a lot of tipping points in dentistry. And I think that this quote really concisely states exactly the state of the dental industry right now. It comes from Tony Robbins, who also has quite a bit of connections with dentistry, but this was not a dental podcast. And I heard him say something, and the quote is, remember this: anticipation is the ultimate power. What I heard him say was, losers react, leaders anticipate. So anticipation is the ultimate power. I think there's a lot of dentists whose practices are doing better than ever, and they're doing well because they actually anticipated the needs of the consumer today. Other people buried their head in the sand, and they're reacting now, and they're saying one thing every day when they show up to the practice. And we know what that is. Woe is me, right? And I hear a lot of dentists saying this to me now. Whoa, and there's a lot of people in the dental industry who've just left. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in our practices where we're so busy that we now have been knocked back on our heels in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of the things that came our way, we could have anticipated. Obviously not everything, but frankly, dentistry has come back stronger from the pandemic than I would have expected. And I think that a lot of the practices that had anticipated, they had been leading where things were going in dentistry, are doing better than ever. The people that are saying, woe is me, that are talking about their employee turnover, the wage increases, inflation, group practices taking over, who are looking at all of the industry trends as problems, really, it's just, it can be an excuse for not anticipating what was already happening. I've talked about it on this podcast before. What happened in COVID was an accelerant. It didn't really change anything. Obviously, we had to shut down for a few months, but a lot of practices got money from the government for free for that period of time. And so I think that is kind of an excuse. I know that if you have team members that are sick, we've had dentists and oral surgeons that are sick at my practice due to COVID. That obviously is a hit to your bottom line, and it can be a reason, but really be careful, because reasons are oftentimes just another name for excuses. In my family, we have one of our core values is no excuses. And so if I say to my kids, what was that? They instinctively say it wasn't an excuse, because it's one of the things that I train my kids. We want to, obviously we can't control everything, but within the walls of our practice, there is so much that you can control. And I would write this down. If you don't change your practice will change. The risk of inaction is likely much worse than the risk of action at this point in time. So when it comes to anything negative in your practice that you have control over, and you have control over most things, make sure that you are on top of it, that you're leading that you're doing the work that needs to happen to work smarter, not harder. I believe strongly that your practice can be whatever you want it to be, but you have to decide what you want it to be and then grow in that direction. I was reading online about a dentist today who was talking about all the negative things happening to his practice, as if there was nothing that could be done about it, as if we're all the same dental practice. I think if you're looking to that for us all to be the same, and you're looking that everybody's going to go up and everybody's going to go down together, that's not the way the world works anymore. You have to actively decide what you want to be. Do you want to be a single dentist that has a very niche practice focused on sleep medicine and full mouth restoration? Great, you can probably do that. Do you want to have 100 practices? Probably never a better time in the history of dentistry to do that. But it is probably the worst time in dentistry to not decide what you want to do and go after it. I love this quote that said from, this is from despair.com. It takes 43 muscles to frown and 17 to smile, but it doesn't take anything to just sit there with a dumb look on your face. If you just sit there now, if you don't use the 34 muscles to smile or frown, excuse me, or the 17 to smile, you'll probably be steamrollered by the industry. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about making the decision of what you want to do and then getting after it. And I thought it was a great state of the industry too. In addition to Tony Robbins, leaders anticipate and losers react. I think for most of us, and myself included, it's the busyness of our practices or our businesses that is destroying our business. The busyness is destroying your business. It is not about working more. It's about pausing and slowing down, learning what to do, how to apply the small, easy, but massively impactful changes. And no change is easy, but some are easier than others. Just the small things that will grow your practice to be whatever you want it to be. It's about being intentional about what you're doing, not just doing what's in front of you. It's not just about playing the whack-a-mole of issues that you have at your practice. It's about going intentionally after the big opportunities that usually require very, very little effort to get after. I believe so strongly in this that I created a whole curriculum. We're starting February 18th. If you're listening to this after February 18th, you can still get involved. It's called the Insanely Productive Dentist Workshop. We go through 16 weeks. It's a modular event where we're being active. This is a workshop where we're working on your practice to design whatever you want it to be. And I think we have some great worksheets, great insight, and exercises for you to become massively more profitable. We could take you through being the insanely productive dentist, the insanely productive operatory, the insanely productive office, and then having an insanely productive team is our last stage. So if you want to be part of the Insanely Productive Workshop, go to upgradedental.com, and we have some amazing offers. You'll get some free things for being part of the workshop, which we will never do again because we're just launching. This is going to be our inaugural cohort of the Insanely Productive Dentist. I look forward to seeing you there, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Patient First podcast.